gun rights to those with criminal convictions. The Justice Department is looking to authorize a decades-old law giving individuals with criminal backgrounds an opportunity to buy firearms. The National News Desk, Jeff Harris, joining us. Jeff, so an interim rule published today in the Federal Register, that's a key piece to all of this. Tell us more.
So the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, Dee Dee, has the power to restore gun rights, but the agency has been blocked from doing so under congressional appropriations dating back to 1992. This rule creates a pathway to process those applications, but instead of the ATF, the DOJ will now be in charge. Pamela C., a legal expert, tells us the interim final rule follows an executive order from President Trump last month directing a review of the country's gun restrictions.
The Second Amendment is one of the most important ones we have. Therefore, we need to have a way to reinstate persons' civil rights, which would include firearms.
According to the DOJ, the rule would open an appropriate avenue to restore gun rights to criminals who have proven they're reformed.
Yes, we want people to have their Second Amendment rights, but having a constitutional right is not limitless.
The limitations likely to be put in place for those with violent and also dangerous backgrounds.
Limiting it to those who are nonviolent, no domestic violence involved.
Madeline Somerville, an attorney based out of Georgia, says, in addition to creating a pathway for people to own guns again, this rule will also clear up some existing restrictions and regulations.
If there were any unnecessary roadblocks on the way to someone having their rights reinstated that really didn't make sense, they're going to try to get rid of that as well.
But before a final version of the rule is issued, the public will be able to give some feedback.
There'll be an opportunity for people to comment on whether or not they think those rules are good or not.
Now, groups advocating against gun violence are pushing back here. Everytown for Gun Safety issuing a statement saying that this move throws out decades of bipartisan precedent and is laying the groundwork to put guns back into the hands of violent criminals.
Some Americans with criminal convictions could soon be allowed to legally own guns. Let's see what you think about this story. The Justice Department creating a path to restore their Second Amendment rights. News Nation's Brooke Schaefer is here with more on this. Brooke, some of these people have been in legal limbo for years, but critics of this plan say it's going to put weapons in the hands of abusers.
Marky, pretty unsurprisingly, this move has people on both sides of the gun issue split. Gun rights groups are celebrating the interim rule this morning, with one saying that it would end the legal limbo for those seeking to restore the right to own a weapon.
The gun isn't the thing that's going out and committing the crime, right? It's the person. So if you've got such a dangerous person that you can't trust him with the gun, that person needs to be in jail.
But on the other side of things, Moms Demand Action, a group which advocates for stronger gun laws, believes making it easier for domestic abusers and violent criminals to rearm is a death sentence, they wrote, waiting to happen. Right now in the U.S., federal law says convicted felons can't have guns, and the ATF's ability to use congressional funds to restore gun rights for some has been blocked since 1992. But this interim rule, it was posted on the Federal Register Thursday. It could create a process for people with criminal convictions to get their guns back. It would give that authority to the Attorney General and the Justice Department. The DOJ said that the rule gives an avenue to restore firearm rights to people who no longer warrant such disability based on a combination of the nature of their past criminal activity and their current law-abiding behavior. As some groups advocating against gun violence express deep concern with these changes, the DOJ noted that it would be screening people and it supports laws that ensure violent and dangerous people don't get their guns back. Marky?
Yeah, as with...
Man, this shit is finna go down. But I want to say shalom. First thing and foremost, I want to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone that rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect, noise in his gospel, abroad, lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, wherever they may be. This is another lesson through the spirit. It says Esau wants chaos in the streets, also thin the herd in Babylon. As this is all controlled chaos, as they're talking about putting guns in back in the hand of felons or so-called criminals, which, I mean, to be technically honest with you, like, you have no right to take away nobody's gun rights, even if they have criminal convictions, because, I mean, you know, according to the Constitution, before all this DOJ and Congress bullshit was really enacted, you still had a Second Amendment right to carry a firearm. Now, of course, if you get bumped with it, you know, you're going to have to challenge jurisdiction, which can be a long, drawn-out process, because the first thing they're going to say is, well, it's against the law. You shouldn't have a weapon because you're a felon. You know, they're going to throw that trump card at you. But if you know how to navigate their system, you can actually beat that, because you have, as a person, whether you're a felon or not, you have a right to protect yourself, okay? And that's what Esau really thrives on, you know, Jake not being able to protect themselves, because it's ironic as it is that Esau commits damn near 50-60% of the crimes, but yet he's incarcerated less than 30%. But yet Jake commits roughly 29 or 30% of the crimes, and they are incarcerated at 75% or more, right? But yet Jake is oftentimes convicted 9 to 10 times out of an Edomite. You know, like for every 20 Jakes that's convicted, you may have one Edomite. Even if Esau is accused of the crime, he usually gets off when he gets a slap on the wrist. So that's all set up to disarm Jake, man. And that's why the gun laws are so strict, when Esau is the most violent criminal on the planet Earth. In fact, the scriptures call him a deceitful and bloody man. And they say that he bear not the sword in vain as well. So if anybody should have a restriction on owning firearms or weapons, it should be these Edomites, because they're violent. They're the ones they're more violent than Jake. You know, Jake had just been put into situations that caused them to react, because Jake is very reactive. So if they're put into situations which cause them to react under certain circumstances, man. Okay, it's like a game of chess. When you force the pawn to go that way to trap the queen up with a king, then you could checkmate him. So ultimately, you're controlling the board if you know how to navigate within chess. And that's all that this is a game of chess, with them trying to checkmate the Israelites, man. All right, but no way in hell you can tell a person, oh, well, you can't have a gun because you have a felony, which, I mean, okay, so be it, you know. But regardless of it, people got them shits anyway, like in Chicago. Yeah, you got YNs walking around the street shooting at cops, bro. In Chicago, you not supposed to hold anything. I don't know, the gun laws are so strict in these bigger cities, and that's not by coincidence, but you go to Chicago, I don't think you can have any particular automatic weapon. Like, you can't have assault weapons in Chicago or within Illinois unless you have like a special permit or you have to apply for it. But even then, they want to disarm anybody in major Democrat cities from even owning a weapon, or it got to be like a magazine of 10 or less. Okay, you can't walk around with shit. You can walk, like in Missouri, you can walk around with AR-15s. You can walk around with anything that's a rifle, so to speak. You walk around with Glocks, 9mm, you know, because the Missouri gun laws are relatively laxed. Okay, and you can just go out here, you can just buy a fucking gun off the streets. They don't even give a shit. You know, as long as you ain't, you know, engaged in some wickedness, then they don't really care. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that, you know, you should just be out here doing dumb shit. But we in a time now that you can't deprive a person a right to protect themselves, because, I mean, you got a lot of people running up on motherfuckers, man. And what you gonna say to this person? Well, he ran up on me with a gun or a knife and I couldn't defend myself because I got a felony, and this man gets put in the spirit world because he couldn't defend himself based on your bias ass fucking laws. People ain't dealing with that shit no more, man. That's why a lot of times, man, you a felon and you got a gun, a lot of times they won't even take you to jail. They just fucking take the gun from you. Like, look, go about your business, man, because this is a wicked world. You know, and you're not going to deprive anybody the ability to take care of themselves, even though the gun is not those are instruments of cruelty, to be technically honest with you. Okay, because Esau uses them for nefarious purposes against our people. But nonetheless, the scriptures do say that, hey, how should I say, hey, it's lawful to have a sword if you're going to be lawful with it. Not saying that you got to be going out here and toting and shooting it shit. But, you know, it's nothing wrong with protecting your castle and protecting your family and protecting your person. Okay, that's in the scriptures, man. The Lord said that train up the sons of Judah to use the bow. So your young sons, the modern day bow is the weapon. It's the fucking gun. You know what I'm saying? And your swords, or, you know, if he's good with the particular swords or kunais or whatever, you know, weapons training. That's cool to understand how to use those things, to utilize them for your defense. But don't be stupid, you know, because Jacob be like, oh, see, GMS, they say y'all can use gun. No, we're not promoting gun usage. If anything, if you can operate without one, then, hey, may the spirit be with you. you know. But we coming into some times now that all hell is getting ready to break loose, and everybody and their mother out here they got fucking weapons, you know. So this is why we're gonna need how about Shimon Hawashai. But nonetheless, this is orchestrated chaos, and this is what this devil is trying to do. He's trying to bring a city of a world of chaos, man. Because in Texas, hell, you don't even have to do background checks. You could just buy a gun and walk around with it out. From what I understand, you know. Now they may have changed the gun laws, but usually the red states, they're pretty laxed. All right, so I looked up some things, and it says restoration of rights projects, restoration of firearms rights, and a couple of things here. It says felons and possess prohibition, Salakia. No, not prohibition, prohibition. It says the federal law prohibits felons from possessing firearms, but this law is generally enforced, but there are some exceptions and avenues for relief. And a lot of times they would go through if you have caught more than one felonies, or if you got like 6-7 gun charges, then you could forget about that. They're not going to give you shit back. You know, but usually they want you to go through a particular time without being in trouble, or you got to go through some type of expungement attorney and get your shit off your record, and then you can, you know, reapply for your firearms license. But it says here, felons in Missouri can potentially restore their rights to own firearms through several avenues, including petitioning the governor for a pardon, seeking expungement of their conviction, or by petitioning a court for restoration of rights. It says federal gun rights, however, are typically only restored through a presidential pardon. And that really refers to like a lot of Esau, because Esau knows how to navigate this. But if you were Jake, and let's just say if you got locked up 20 years ago for a petty ass weed charge, and you end up getting a felony behind it, and 20 years later you've lived straight, you've paid, you know, you've done what you had to do. A lot of times with Jake, they'll just say, well, look, we have no pardon for you. And they'll just straight up tell you, they won't even give you the insight on getting it back, because you got to understand that their scopeo is set on you to destroy you, man. You know, I was like, you know, and I'm gonna get into some precepts, but I was just looking up stocks this morning, because, you know, when you go on TikTok, there's always a bunch of propaganda on there, and, you know, niggas always trying to sell you something. Oh my God, I just made $40,000-$50,000 in stocks. And here you got Keisha on there talking about she cashed out 9 bands. Since when do a black woman know about investing in the stock market? Like the most your comprehension exposed to is a fucking OnlyFans account. Now you want to talk about investing 10 to 20K in the stock market. Now you cashing out. Get your ass out of here. Like, you niggas don't even understand the stock market. But even then, when I started looking into the stock market, because I mean, when he paused the 90-day terror, when he did the pauses, allegedly the stock market started booming and people were cashing out left and right. But I was just thinking in my mindset, I'm like, that was a golden goose of an opportunity. Even if you invested $1, $5, you could have came up 50, 60 bucks. Put $50, you would have probably came up 500 bucks. You know, whatever you put in, you would have got out. 2 bands get you 20,000. You know, shit like that. And back in my mind, I'm like, we were never taught that, because if we were taught these things and how to understand like how this shit works, you know, Jake will put themselves in better case to learn how to navigate out here. You know, but Jake don't know. And they play off our ignorance. And it's the same thing with these laws, man. Same thing with child support. All this shit. We just been literally taken advantage of, man. This is why the scriptures say that none said restore. All right. Matter of fact, let's this Hosea 4, because this is gonna be chaos, man. You know, because Esau, he knows what he's doing. He's not giving you rights back because he loves you. He's giving it to you because he know you're gonna be stupid with it. You know, it's all a trap. If this devil do anything, if he do anything, it's to put you in a trap, man. Matter of fact, it's a scripture that goes into I'm trying to quote it. I think he said the scripture goes into when he dubbed good. Hold on, let me look that up. Let me do a generic search. Do it good. Not too good to the widow. Yep, Sirach 14:7. And it says here, this is the book of Sirach 14. And I'm going to start at verses 7. It says, and if he do it good, he doeth it unwillingly. Okay. It says, and at the last he would declare his wickedness. So there's always a double-edged sword behind what Esau do. So if he's giving you an opportunity, you better believe it's something wicked on the edge of it, because he's not the type of person that do shit out the counters of his heart because he just want to be nice. No, when Esau does something, it's to trap you up, or some type of wicked intent behind it, man. All right. That's why it says here, if he do it good, he do it unwillingly. And at the last, he would declare his wickedness, right? Because you're going to see the wizard behind the curtain. It's like, aha, made you look, you know. And it says, the envious man have a wicked eye, and he turneth away his face and despiseth men. Okay. And that's Esau. So nothing he do is upright. And he do it because, like I said, there's a wicked intent behind it. So the reason why he's even talking about giving felons back their rights is because he knows that a bunch of wicked motherfuckers out here, which Esau is the most violent criminal. If anything, you need to worry about Esau. I mean, Jake is a bunch of demons. Of course, Jake is wicked. Jake do dumb shit all the time. I mean, honestly speaking, if Jake had a world power behind him, Jake would be 10 times more as evil than Esau, because that's how wicked niggas are. But right now, he holds the power. Esau holds the trump card. So overall, he's the motherfucker you got to worry about, man. Okay, because, hey, you think these white boys that got felons, you think they ain't got guns? Hell yeah, they got guns, man. They're encouraged to get guns. But this is all set up to bring about chaos, man. Because like I said, you're going to have a bunch of evil, wicked niggas that's going to try to reapply. And a lot of times, Jake, they don't care. They just do it any goddamn way. Which, you know, that's you, you know. But, yep, chaos, man. Chaos, chaos, chaos. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah. What is it? I think it's Isaiah 42. I think it's Isaiah 42 or Jeremiah, the 42nd chapter. 42 and... Nope, Isaiah 42. Because they play on the ignorance of our people. You know, because Jake ain't going to sit through and read shit because his attention span is all messed up. And if he's reading it, he can't retain what it says. So he just, you know, Jake get discouraged. All right, but this is the book of Isaiah 44, and I'm going to start at verses 22. And it says, but this is a people robbed and spoiled, and they are all snared in holes. Okay, a hole is like a pit, man. And it says, and they are hid in prison houses, and they are for a prey, and none delivered, and for a spoil, and none shall restore. Yeah, because when you spoil something, that means that you're taking it for your benefit, and you're capitalizing off of it. So right now, we're spoils of the enemy in the enemy's land. So this is why, hey, he has such a great market off us, man. Like the stock market was started on Jake's, on you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. Bidding and selling slaves off to the highest bidder. You know, Black Friday, you know, you get a cheap slave. You sell them off, get 2 slaves for $100, whatever you want to call it. And they will auction our asses off, man. And this is why you got the concept of the stock market starting back in captivity, man. So it's the same ordeal today. But nonetheless, this will bring about chaos eventually. And I'm not saying that this particular event was going to lead to all hell breaking loose, but you got a bunch of crazy people out here that's running around shooting people up, then, you know, that trickles in effect. It's a domino effect, you know, which when this society collapses, ain't going to matter if you got a fucking felony or not. You're going to protect, you're going to do what you got to do. And that's just the bottom line. So they ain't going to be concerned about the loss. People are to the point they're ready to say, fuck the government, and they're going to ready to do what they want to do. You know, everybody is kind of hoo-ha and hoo-ran because they got this 90-day pause and tariffs, you know, to kind of heal them. But this is the process of trying to heal Babylon. But it's all for a bigger collapse down the line. All right, because it tells us in 2nd Ezra 6 chapter, and I'm going to start at verses 23, and it says, and the trumpet should give a sound, when which every man heareth, they should suddenly be afraid. And at that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies. All right, says friends. Okay, you got the term what they call frenemy. Or a lot of times, if you have an enemy of an enemy, then the enemy of that enemy is your friend. So basically, you'll come up together, you'll collaborate to figure out how to neutralize this particular threat. And it says, and at that time shall friends fight one another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein, and the springs of the fountain should stand still. In 3 hours they should not run. Okay, meaning you're going to have a complete total breakdown of these Western alliances, man. And people are gonna fight for the one of all things. And you know, you got a bunch of people running around here with guns, and people gonna squad up. And don't get it twisted. There's a lot of social media groups that's being under the radar, which is coming together, and they're forming militias and they're training in secret just to go and take people's shit. And they showed you that on that movie called The Forever Purge, that it was like some type of Facebook group, and people were speaking behind the scenes to continue to purge after the original annual purge ended, and it all went through social media. Okay, and people were just like, you know what, this is what we gonna do. We gonna link up. We got this in common. We gonna do what we gotta do. All right, and this is the world we getting ready to enter into quickly, because it's getting ready to be a dog-eat-dog world. It already is now. All right, 2nd Esdras 15, and I'm gonna start at verses. It says 15. It says, "For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another with swords in their hands." The modern day sword is a gun. You know, that's a gun. So when this society descends into chaos, hey, everybody, they said that you got more weapons here than citizens. So if you roughly got 350 million documented citizens here, then add 2 to that, and you times 2, and you do the math. If every citizen got 2 guns apiece, which the average citizen probably got, the average Edomite probably got 20, 30 guns easily. I mean, they got guns and like wine cellars, bro. You know, Esau, oh, I got that gun and this gun and my grandfather's gun. He gave me that gun during the time of Vietnam back in '67. And you know, and we did our thing. Motherfucker still got the helmet, taxidermy, all types of shit, man. This devil is armed to the teeth. And you Jakes ain't gonna do nothing with that little weak ass 9 you got with a drum on it, bro, with a switch. That's the dumbest shit I ever heard, nigga, putting a switch on a Glock. For one thing, a Glock is supposed to be an accurate weapon, but when you take the switch, the Glock is known for its efficiency. Okay, it's proficiency and it's easy of use. It's pretty much how to use a gun for dummies. A Glock is the police chosen, you know, that's like one of the most notable and user-friendly handguns there is, the Glock, because the convenience of it. But yet if you put a drum, I mean, not a drum, but if you put a switch on it and a drum, you're taking away from its greatest benefactor, which is the accuracy, man. Okay, if I'm shooting because an actual Glock can hold up between 13 and 17. Depends on what model you got. But you got some that got 30 shot clips, you got 60 shot, you got 100 round drums. But if I'm using a Glock like a machine gun or like a submachine gun, then you might as well just get a submachine gun, man. Or SMG as they call it. And no point in you putting a switch on a Glock just to spray bullets. Like, you might as well get you a Uzi or a Tech or something, man. You know? But Jake don't think like that. Niggas play too much GTA and then they out here living it in real life. So they ass end up crashed out in a corner somewhere. So it's going to get brutal. And it says, "For there should be sedition among men, invading one another, and they should not regard their kings nor princes. In the course of their actions shall stand in their power." So there's going to come a time that 911 ain't going to come. All right, ain't nobody gonna be worried about no damn 911. What? So you're right. You know, there was some shots out here yesterday, man. I heard like 6, 7 shots go off, and to this time, I haven't heard a cop. I haven't heard a siren. Haven't heard anything. You know, now it could have been somebody jag racing, or because sometimes when people have them crazy sounding exhausts, they sound like gunshots, but that sounds like some shots were let off, and I haven't seen anything in the news about it, and no cops have come through. So you do the math. Cops ain't showing up like they used to. And it says here, "And a man should desire to go into a city and should not be able. For because of their pride, the city should be troubled, houses should be destroyed. Men should be afraid, and the man should have no pity upon his neighbor, but should destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and great tribulation." All right, so this is where we're headed, man. All right, Hosea 4:1, it says, "Hear the word of the Lord, ye children of Israel, for the Lord have a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of Yahweh in the land." All right, and the only semblance of truth is coming out is through the men of Yahweh, Bashim, Yahweh Shai, the prophets. And it says, "By swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery, they break out in blood, toucheth blood." And this is what we're getting ready to see. Bunch of gang activity, man. All right, "Therefore should the land mourn, and everyone that dwelleth therein shall languish with the beasts of the field and the fowls of heaven. Yea, the fishes of the sea also should be taken away. Yet let no man strive nor reprove another, for thy people are as they that strive with the priests, man. All right. But the point was in 2 and 3. So with that, all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Lord's will, you are edified. Until the next lesson. Shalom.